Welcome back, and we are going to start and pick up right with Chapter 10, Lesson 3. This is all about circles. So you will need a whiteboard and you will need your workbook 10-3, your practice K. Okay, make sure I took this up before we left, but 10-1 and 10-2 is way overdue. So if you still have that, put that in the purple box now. Okay, so our objective today, we're going to move to circles. So our objective today is to write and graph an equation of a circle and to find the center and the radius of a circle and to use them to graph the circle. So today we're going to do the first part of this lesson. We're just going to go over problems 1 and 2, and then we're going to do the workbook problems associated with those. And then tomorrow we'll do parts 3 and 4 and do those parts and turn it in. So today let's focus on the first part of 10-3. So I want you to start off by doing the bell work about completing the square. And we did this in our last assignment, so I want to make sure you still remember. This is just an Algebra 1 topic. So if you'll complete the square on these 4 problems, I'm going to give you 3 minutes and then, or 4 minutes. We'll do 4 minutes. It's a 1 minute per problem. That's plenty of time. And then we'll move on. Okay, there you go. And begin now. Actually, I think 4 minutes was too long, so we'll stop in about 45 seconds here. Fifteen seconds. we're going to stop right here. And if you remember, all we have to do to complete the square is look at our middle term, our x term. We've got an x squared minus 2x plus, and that's the third term is what we're missing for this quadratic. So what we do is we divide the second term, the x term, by 2 and square it. So negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, and negative 1 squared is a positive 1. So we complete the square there by putting a positive 1. Again, divide the middle term by 2 and square it. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, 2 squared is 4. And it was just by coincidence that it was the same as our term. Okay, number 3, divide the second term by 2 and square it. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 5 squared is 25. And then negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3, and negative 3 squared is a positive 9. So if we were to rewrite these, whoops, sorry about that. If we were to rewrite these, we would rewrite number 1 as x minus 1 squared, and number 2 would be written as x plus 2 squared. Number 3 would be written as x plus 5 squared, and number 4 would be x minus 3 squared. Okay, and then when you FOIL those back out, you're going to end up with these perfect square trinomials. Okay? Okay, so let's move on. It's important to remember how to complete the square because you're going to use this in many techniques to solve these problems. So make sure you have 10-3 torn out of your workbook, and we're going to talk about what is a circle. A circle is a set of all points on a plane that are a distance r from a given point in the center of the circle. Okay, and the distance r from that point to the edge is called the radius of the circle, which we denote that with an r. The use of the distance formula helps us determine our equation that we're going to do today. So here's the distance formula to refresh your memory. Okay, and if you're in geometry, that's probably very fresh in your mind now. And that's a useful tool in describing a circle in our coordinate plane. And we're going to learn how to work with this and learn a new formula to work with today. Okay, so we've got a circle, a center of a circle, and a radius. Those are the important things to remember. And we're going to use the distance formula to create a new formula for us to work with. So an equation of a circle with the center at 0, 0 at the origin. So if we put the circle at the origin, and the radius is r in a coordinate plane, is going to be x squared plus y squared equal r squared. And that we've already worked with, right? X squared plus y squared equal r squared. So that is if your origin is at the center, or excuse me, the center is at the origin. Now, not every circle has its center at the origin. So suppose we move it away from the origin, then we're going to have an h and a k involved, the horizontal movement and the vertical movement. Horizontal is our h and the vertical is our k. So now, using our distance formula, plugging in the appropriate variables, we get r equals the square root of x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. There's your distance formula. And now if we square each side and get rid of that square root, then we end up with r squared equals x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. So this is the formula that we derived from squaring each side of the distance formula that we're going to use to do our translations of our circle. Okay, so this is how we tell if a circle's where it's at on the coordinate plane when it's moved away from the origin. So here's our key concept. The standard form of an equation of a circle with the center at h, k and a radius of r is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal r squared. So there's our formula that we're going to work with on this assignment. Where h is the horizontal movement and k is the vertical movement. Okay, so if we move that away from the origin, that h, k is the center of our circle. So writing the equation of a circle, we can use the center and the radius of a circle to write an equation for a circle. So problem 1 asks us, what is an equation of the circle with center at -4, 3, and a radius of 4? So there's our h, there's our k, and there's our r. So we're going to take that formula, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal r squared. And we're going to plug in these values for h, k, and r. So plug in a -4 for h, so right there, and a 3 for k, and a 4 for the r. And now let's simplify. So minus a minus becomes plus, so we get x plus 4 squared, and this stays the same, so just carry that down, plus y minus 3 squared, and 4 squared is 16. Be particularly careful with your signs, okay? Because the original formula has negative signs in there. Be careful when working with negative numbers, okay? So our formula for our circle is x plus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 16. And that's all there is to this. So if you will get your workbook page, your practice K for 10-3, and let's work problems 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, you're going to work this in the same way. Let's work problem 1 together. It says write an equation of a circle with a given center and radius. Check your answers. So they give us a center of 1, 1 and a radius 4. So you're going to start with your formula. So it's going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal r squared. So now we're going to fill in. So this is our h, that's our k, and that's our r. So it's going to be x minus 1 squared plus y minus 1 squared equal 4 squared, or 16. And that's our answer. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 more minutes to work 2, 3, and 4, and we'll begin now. We have a minute and a half remaining. And that might have been too much time. And if you are finished, double check your answers. Thirty seconds. So that should have been plenty of time, and we'll turn these in at the end of class. So let's continue. Okay, the second problem says, what is an equation for a translation of x squared plus y squared equal 9? And we're going to move that 4 units left and 3 units up. So that means that our h is equal to -4 going 3 units to the left, and 4 units to the left, excuse me, and our k is moving up 3, so it's equal to 3 units up. Okay, and we know that our circle is x squared plus y squared equal r squared, so r squared equal 9. So if you don't see that, just solve it. R squared equal 9, take the square root of each side, and you get r equals 3. So we know that this is our r is equal to 3. So there we have h equal -4, k equal 3, and r equal 3. So we're going to plug that into our equation. And we know it's going to be x minus h, which is -4 squared, plus y minus k, which is a +3, equal 3 squared, or 9. Okay, and then we want to just clean that up to x plus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equal 3 squared. And that is our equation. Okay, so they ask us to draw the graph. So you want to draw a circle who has a radius of 3, so show the original at the origin, and there it is at the origin here. Alright, and then the translation, it went over 4, or backwards 4, and up 3 to our new spot. Still has a radius of 3, and there's our new circle. So that's how you draw this. So you draw the parent, and you show the translation with the movement of the horizontal and vertical movements, and draw the new circle in its new position. And notice that our new vertex, or our new center of the circle, is our h comma k, which would have been -4, 3. Okay, and there it is, back 4, up 3. Okay. So there's something I want to point out. When we look at the radius, we're talking about how wide or how thick is that circle. How big is the circle? We use it to measure from the center to the outer edge, and it's that same distance all the way around. All right? So it makes it a perfect circle. So you could really say if r is bigger, it's going to be a larger circle. If r is smaller, it's going to be a smaller circle. So the radius really gives us the measure to stretch or shrink our unit circle. Okay, and then H and K translates our circle, the vertical and horizontal, or horizontal and vertical movement. So just another way to look at that. Okay, so now let's look at our workbook page again. Let's look at 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And let's look at the first one and work that together. So the first one says, or number 5 says, write an equation for each translation. That's what we're doing for all of these, is writing an equation for each of the translation. And it doesn't ask us to graph it, so we're just writing the equation. So the first one says, x squared plus y squared equals 16, and we're going to move it left 2 units. So our h is equal to -2, and down 1 unit. So our k is equal to -1 because it's moving down. And we know that the radius is equal to, well, 16 is r squared, so r must be equal to 4. So now we're going to start with that equation and plug in our h and our k. So x minus a -2 plus y. Oh, they're doing them one side at a time. So let's just look at the translate to left 2 units. So we're going to just focus on the h. So there it is, equals 16. And then that comes out to x plus 2 squared plus y squared equals 16. Now, over here, we're going to focus on the y. So it's y minus k, which is -1. And so a minus goes to +1. So there it is. So your final equation is this one right here. X plus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 16. Okay? Now I'm going to give you 3 minutes to work the next 4 problems. And if you'll work those now. Just like that. Okay, we have about 35 seconds left. seconds. Okay, that was loud. Okay, and that concludes this lesson for this problem. Now let's look a little further ahead. The rest of the first side of the workbook page says write an equation for each circle. Each interval represents 1 unit. And number 10, they show us a graph with the circle in it. And they give us x scale 1, y scale 1. So each unit on horizontal and vertical are 1. So we need to look at where this is positioned, and we see that if each unit's 1, then we're at 1, 2, 3, 4. So our h is 4. And our k has moved down negatively 1, 2, 3. So our k is equal to negative 3. And how big is the radius? So you can measure from the center to the edge. So it's 1, 2 units. So the radius equal 2. So we have h equal 4, k equal negative 3, and r equal 2. So hk is the center of the circle. So that's h and k. And we know the radius is 2. Okay, so they said to write an equation. So we're going to use the standard form. So let me clean this up here. So you're going to go x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal r squared. And now you're going to plug it in. So now h is 4. So it's going to be x minus 4 squared plus y minus, and k is negative 3 squared equal r squared. And our radius is 2. So 2 squared. So it's going to be y plus 3 squared equal 4. So it's going to be x, let me write that neater, x minus 4 squared plus y plus 3 squared equal 4. And that is our answer. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 3 more minutes to do the last 2 problems, and you'll do it just like this. Identify your h and your k and your r, plug it into the formula, and finish 11 and 12. Anything, this will conclude our lesson, and tomorrow we'll do the back side of the page. Hang on to this paper today. Anything that we didn't finish in class, use the remainder of the class time for, and anything you don't finish in class is homework. And tomorrow we'll continue with the back side of the paper. Okay, and we'll do tomorrow 13 through 19 and turn it in. That concludes our lesson today. Thank you for watching.